lounging, son.
All right, welcome back to the Comic Lounge. My name's Ryan, and with me today, I have a really dope indie cartoonist with me. I have James Edward Clark. I know you from Tales To Enlighten, so that's how I discovered your stuff. But we're here to talk about your work, Pissant Apocalypse, as well. So I'm super stoked to finally have you on the show, man. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going, man? Yeah, I'm James Edward Clark. This is my book, Pissant Apocalypse. It was originally kind of serialized in these mini comics, and we got a crowdfunding campaign up on Kickstarter right now. We're fully funded, keeping it going.
Oh yeah,
try to get as much money as we can, make as best book as we can. Possible.
Yeah, dude. I was really stoked when I heard you were launching a Kickstarter because, like I said, I knew that you had those mini comics and stuff. Or, well, I guess I recently discovered that, and then you told me you were making a Kickstarter, so I'm like, okay, I'll get that big fat book, But I always ask everybody, the first time having them on, I always like to hear kind of their story of like how they got into comics, what started your love for the medium.
I was always into comics. I guess, grew up in the 90s, sort of the tail end of the big comic boom bust. Had like a comic book store up the top of my hill by my house, and used to go up there, get like old Spawn comics or whatever. I got real into originally, I think the Death of Superman. My father got the trade for that Christmas, and I spent more time reading that than my own toys. And then I think my grandmother got me a subscription to Superman during like the reign of Superman, so I got like that whole run delivered to my house, and that kind of is the perfect story for an 8-year-old. Sort of different versions of Superman running around fighting each other. And then, like I said, I got in the habit of going to the comic book store up by my house, and got real into Spawn with Greg Capullo, Todd McFarlane inking them. So Greg Capullo is still kind of my favorite to this day. And then, I had different phases. The comic book store by my house closed. I got into like comic strips. I was a big Calvin and Hobbes fan when I was like 13 or so. Yeah, just back in college, I got into the habit of like reading more. And while I was in working a job after art school at a factory, I started working on my own stuff and just kind of self-publishing it. I had 3 issues of this book called Evil that I put out. By the third one, I was starting to get awards and articles written about and some attention around the project. And then lost my job, and I just had some personal stuff in my life going on. So I decided I was going to focus on finishing the book. And as soon as I finished the book, people started coming out to pay me to draw their books, which is how I got the Tales To Enlighten gig. And that took me right through to like March 2020 when all the lockdowns happened. So then, I did Pissant Apocalypse during that time.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like, I remember seeing because I've often told Matt, the writer of Tales To Enlighten, Matt King. Yeah, I've often told him like I have discovered more indie cartoonists from his books than I do on my own, and I don't even know how he finds people. Like, I don't know. I didn't see your stuff for whatever reason until then, but I was like, man, this art is fucking dope, dude. And then like the second book, again, he had like, I think it was more of an anthology stuff. So yeah, a bunch of people on that too. But yeah, that's dope. I think so. We're probably on the same age because I remember when that was coming out too. I know, it's funny. I never had a subscription to a comic book. I had a subscription to Wizard, but I never did it to the actual comic title. I just always went to the shop.
Well, my old grandmother, that was the thing back in the day, subscription to magazines or periodicals, right? So she got me that. That was my 8th birthday present for my 8th birthday.
Yeah, that's awesome. My grandma used to, and you mentioned Calvin and Hobbes, and it just reminds me, like, my grandma used to save all the comics sections from her newspapers because she knew I loved Calvin and Hobbes, and she'd cut it out for me.
I would do that. My school, they would cut it out for me, and I had like a big box of it, like in my closet, for all the comic strips.
Yeah, that's awesome. I used to glue them into a notebook too.
I didn't quite, maybe for like a period, but that doesn't sound like something that would like keep my attention. For me to keep the habit up.
No, I was gonna say, so you get into comics that way through your dad, and then your grandma gets to do subscription, and you kind of like you jumped around a little bit in terms of like from 8 to 13 and then college and stuff. But when did you decide that you wanted to kind of become an artist and draw? Was comic books
I always was kind of had an aptitude for it, and like was the best kid at drawing in my class, and I just enjoyed doing it and kept up with it over the years. So it wasn't really just kind of a natural progression. It was like, yeah, I'm gonna be an artist someday.
And who are some of the biggest inspirations besides, like, I mean, I know you said Capullo is still probably your favorite, but what other artists were you looking at, especially if like you come from like Reign of Superman, you go to Calvin and Hobbes, those are two very different things, but like what did you start getting into as you got older?
Like I'm a big fan of Robert Crumb, like Ashley Wood stuff. Trying to think now. Lately I've been getting into like Milo Manera type stuff, more European. I like these days like stuff that impresses me that I can't do, sort of something I can still draw from, you know, somebody's like way more talented than me. It's the stuff I'm kind of real into, you know, Mobius and like a bunch of European guys like that and stuff. These days, that's the stuff I get excited. Richard Corbin, you know, love like the kind of genre indie guys. I'm a
Sure.
big fan of.
And can you take me into the process of like you deciding to self-publish a comic book? And is there any way to get that still, or is that just completely gone?
Well, I just when I started the early 2000s, he said, you know, how you break into comics? Well, make your comic and then like show people, and then you know you get jobs from that. So I was just like, there's a print shop right by the factory where I was working. So I would just go over there at lunch and give them the files and tell them what to do, and then pick them up after work and then take them home and start stapling them all together. And yeah, I mean anybody can do that. It's not like these. I just take the staples and like give them the PDFs and they print it. Like this is just 4 pieces of paper, double-sided, colored, and you fold it twice and cut the top off. It's just the simplest way of doing it, right?
Yeah, but I'm saying that not the Pissant Apocalypse, but the earlier book.
Yeah, no, like I was
The same
just as
way.
far as like distributing, I was just like on my social media trying to hustle some copies. That's how I met Matt. Like he got a bunch of commissions from me, and then I think some other gentleman started got me to draw like a romance comic for him called Scissors, which is a little you actually get. I'm reprinting it for the campaign. You can get a copy if you back like the zine tiers. And then Matt realized, oh, if I pay this guy, he'll do like pages for me. And he approached me about doing that. Originally, it was Tales to Enlighten was supposed to be like a 24-page thing. Somehow managed to turn into a 168-page thing for me. And then I think we're pushing like 1,000 pages if you count all the pinups and everything in those books.
Yeah, they're heavy, dude.
Crazy.
Yeah,
Oh
they're
yeah,
like
well, I
phone
got
books.
both of them right here. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I was like, I think I told him, like, why didn't you just do like single issues? And then he's like, yeah, this book was huge. And then he told me book two is gonna be bigger. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
You're fucking insane,
Well,
dude.
I know. Yeah, I was working on the pages for the first book, and he was telling me, "Oh, I got so and so do like an 8-page thing, and we're going to add this in here." And just it kept expanding. By the time like we were finished, I'm like, "This is going to be like a 400-page book. Like, what are you doing? You know
Yeah.
how much that's going to cost to ship?"
Yeah, yeah, they're huge, dude. Like you connect with Matt, and then that I'm assuming that's like the longest project that you worked on up until that point.
Well, I've been working on my first book for a while too, and like Evil is called, and then
Yeah.
yeah, like if I'm like working on something every day and I like buckle down, I can do like 160 something page book in about 18 months or so. It seems to be the time frame. And then I'm coloring it and drawing it, inking. I do everything in it, like lettering too. Yeah, I'm kind of a one-man show over here.
Are you a mix of traditional and
Yeah,
digital art?
yeah. Yeah, like I actually have some original art here. Like
Yeah, I'd love to see
originally,
that.
yeah, originally like I Pissant Apocalypse started off as something in my sketchbook. I was like wrapping up Tales to Enlighten, and if you've read the book, the second half takes place in this kind of this crazy Enlightenment club with the backgrounds like populated with all these famous characters and
Yeah.
actors. And it was just Matt had a list of people and characters he wanted. One was Ren Xerox, which is kind of this European Frankenstein character. And in my head, like I knew what he looked like, but I didn't bother looking up reference. So in my head, he was about 3 times more muscular than he actually appeared in the original comics. So I drew him, and he was just like this giant roided out yellow guy. And I was like, oh, it was so much fun. I just kept drawing big yellow muscly guys because I was enjoying myself. Like 3 a.m., my brain shut down. I'd like pull up some like bodybuilder reference, just sketch out like big muscly guy. And then kind of gave him different like the bandages so there'd be something distinct about him. And I pulled like other characters in from my sketchbook, the girl, the pig, and it was just kind of the first chapter in developing the story was kind of stream of consciousness, and then I sort of grafted a story onto it after the fact. But yeah, this is so like I took like pages from my sketchbook and
Yep.
rescan them in and print them out blue line, re-ink them, and this is what appears in the final book that you get. And people can actually back the original art tiers on the campaign. They can get
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. I never see your art really like this. I'm always like, I always see it colored. I've never seen like the black one. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, I'm doing we got commission tiers too, so I've just been cranking out commissions. This is a Wanda and Vision commission for somebody. Contacted me last night. Yeah, so that's what my stuff looks like.
That's awesome.
No, I work with people ask what I work with, like kind of these tech pilot pens. I used to use quill nibs and ink, and like you dip the crow quill pen in the ink, and then you draw with that. And then I guess I got lazy. I switched to like kind of the tech pens. I like these because they're kind of sharp, like the you get with a crow quill, so you get that feeling of like carving into the paper. So it's a similar sort of feel to the crow quill when you're inking. Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious. So I mean, 168-page book. This was to be 24. What was the experience like for you working on that? Is that the first time that? Well, you said
Which
you worked
one?
on that book, Scissors. Tales To Enlighten, the first one.
Well, Evil is about like 168 pages too, or something like that.
But not, you didn't do it at once, is what I'm saying. It wasn't in one book, right? It was over time.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of like I was working out the kinks too, so there's a lot of trial and error, and like I'd throw stuff out and start again. I was working a full-time job, so it was pretty slow. So I was doing like maybe an issue a year originally. Matt gave me a page rate, which enabled me to just kind of focus on it full time, and that made it faster. But still, it was kind of it's like a daily grind. You just wake up and you just chip away at it every day, and it's just kind of how it is, pushing the boulder up the mountain.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that book is probably one of the best indie books put together I've ever seen, from the art, the writing, the design of the book. And like, I can only imagine, like the, blood, sweat, and tears that went into making something like that. Cause it's a massive tomb, So
Matt did a fantastic job on all the production. Like, couldn't have asked for a better presentation for the whole thing.
Do you guys have any like future plans to do any more collaborations? You focusing on your stuff for right now?
I'm just kind of working on my own stuff. I feel like I did the ultimate Tales to Enlighten story. I don't know where we go with it after that.
Well, even something different, I mean, but
I know what Matt's plans are. I'm kind of just doing my own thing. Like I said, I have my first book, Evil. I plan to do a crowdfund for that in the spring.
Oh, very cool. Okay.
Yeah, so and I might have a gig to do over the winter, looks like. And they'll take me through, and then get the campaign filled. So like I'm pretty booked up for the next little while, I think.
Awesome. So for everybody that doesn't know what Pissant Apocalypse is, can you give maybe a quick little elevator pitch on the creation of the book? I know you talked about a little bit how it came from your sketchbook, but like the story wise, like what we can expect with the.
Well, you got this big yellow guy here. He's kind of a two-fisted mutant renegade walking around the post-apocalyptic wastelands, and he meets this kind of female femme fatale character who almost sort of tricks him into going on this quest to track down and eliminate the architects of the apocalypse and kind of avenge mankind because they're responsible for the fate that's befell us all, kind of thing. Yeah, that's basically the book. And each chapter is they track down a different architect of the apocalypse and kill him, basically. But it's sort of in a way that subverts your expectations.
Yeah, I'm like looking through the list.
An ironic twist.
Looking through the list, like General Candy. Like, where did that idea for that dude come from?
Oh, I think he's modeled after Rob Ford, who was like a mayor of Toronto. I actually did I was working in the factory, I did like a series of portraits of him. And I just sort of, now he's like part of my stock company. Like if I want a big giant fat guy, I'll throw a Rob Ford guy in there. It's kind of like Tezuka. He always drew the same characters over different books. And like, this is my acting troupe that I have, like my acting repertoire that I pull from. So I guess he's like part of my acting crew, one of my actors in my crew. Yeah, I was just kind of leaning into like the weird dreamlike quality of it. General Candy, he has kind of control over these giant genetically engineered monsters, these like huge animals which can eat thousands of people an hour, and they just devour entire cities. And populations, and he controls them by using these magic beans, which are basically jelly beans. And you find out in the flashback he used to like run a company called General Candy, sort of like, and it's just kind of like weird, silly stuff. There's kind of like an ironic twist to it, and it's more about kind of this the subtext of like the relationships between the characters, and you kind of like pick up on like how where everything happened, even though it's kind of odd and strange. Sort of like the part that was most interesting is sort of the arc of the architects of the apocalypse and where everything fell apart for them. Understanding that without actually spelling everything out and sort of let the audience fill in the blanks. It was kind of like the interesting part when I was going through writing it.
When you're working on a project, do you ever have, because I've heard of, or I've seen too, like other cartoonists, other creators, like they'll have like almost like a stack of books that's kind of like near their drawing table, like that they're drawing inspiration from. Do you do stuff like that when you're working on a book, or do you kind of just focus on what you're creating?
I do have like a stack of books. Like usually, like if I reference something, it's usually photos, so I'm drawing from life and not like from some other artist. But I do definitely have like stacks of books that I'll kind of like pick up and leave through. I got like some like old Sienkiewicz books. I got like some Raphael Grandpa stuff that came out next to my desk. I know it's over there. I can't pull it right now. I'm trying to think like what do I keep right next to my desk. Yeah, I think I got some like Ashley Wood books, from old Ashley Wood books, just different artists I like, and I just flip through and like enjoy their stuff anytime. I also have like my to read pile, which I keep adding to, and it's just never.
I know
there's certain stuff that just never get. I'll just never get around to.
Yeah,
I
often think, I'm like, am I gonna even live long enough to get through my pile of books that I continue to accumulate? Because it doesn't go down, it only goes up.
Yeah, I read through like Akira this summer for the first time ever. That was great. I got the complete 8-ball, the big volume that came out. I was reading through some of that earlier this summer. I got some Jacqueline Tarde books.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I still got to read. There's still the one that I got to read. And I've summertime especially, I try to make time for reading just because I don't get enough sun. So I go outside and sit out in the sun and read just to get some vitamin D on me.
It's funny that you said you just read Akira for the first time, because like I'll be honest, I still haven't finished it, but I did start it recently also. Like I only have the first two, and I haven't read book 2 yet. But I don't know why I didn't read it for so long. It just like I just kept passing it by for whatever
It's like,
reason.
you gotta read all 6 of them. It's kind of an investment, and like if you're on that like weekly grind of like doing the weekend war or the Wednesday warrior thing where you go in the store every week, it's sort of like, do I really want to make the investment on top of like all this other money I'm spending on these books? But yeah, lockdown's kind of like broke my like 15-year habit going to the store every week. So, but I still want to like buy books and like accumulate my collection, I guess. And then I've gone back and started picking up old stuff that I never read.
Yeah,
and Kiro was one that I had to definitely cross off my list. But yeah, it's a completely different experience, like reading the manga compared to the movie. Like the movie goes basically halfway through the manga, and then it becomes a completely different thing, kind of like weird post-apocalyptic gang war in the like the ruins of Tokyo. It's really kind of, and every panel is just extraordinary, like astounding. Even though, like it was kind of like you always kayfabe, like, oh, I did this all myself, and you had like 20 assistants or something, but still absolutely amazing when you actually like sit down and go through it page by page.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I hear, like I didn't know that until probably the last couple of years, that like manga artists have a crew of people like that help, and there's only one person credited on the book or 2 people. Like that's kind of nuts to think about. Like I feel like that probably happens maybe at Marvel or DC, like people that do the backgrounds and stuff.
They do like a lot. They have like assistants and a lot of ghosters, people who ghost stuff in American comics. But yeah, it's a whole factory system over there they got down there, because they're turning out like 17, 10, 17, 20 pages a week, which is absolutely insane. Even if it's like a super stripped down style, like it's the only way you can get that volume of workout week after week at like some of the quality like some of these guys are putting out. Like there was like a Tezuka documentary. I had a book and it came with a DVD of this documentary at Tezuka where they went to his little studio, which is just like this really cheap Tokyo apartment, where he would sit in the living room next to the kitchen with his little TV and like bang out these pages. And he's sitting there like, I got to do like 33 pages tonight. I got to get that done. I'm like, how is that even possible? And then you realize he like sketches it all out super loose and like gives some notes and stuff. And then some guy comes by like 3-4 times a day, picks up the pages and leaves, and then takes them across town to the studio where they got like 20 guys sitting around waiting to do the finishes, all the backgrounds and tighten everything up. So like, oh,
that's nuts. 33 pages at a night, like they need to be finished. That's crazy, dude.
Oh, he was doing like 4 or 5 different stories at a time too. He was like Jack Kirby on crack.
Yeah,
I think the story was he got real into Disney comics and Disney stuff when he was a kid. And he would read the comics and they all said Walt Disney on it. This is by Walt Disney. He's like, oh, this guy's like the most productive human ever. Like he just cranks this stuff out. Like this is kind of the gold standard. I want to be as good as him. So it's like, I got to produce as much as him. And just kind of that mentality of like, this is what I got to do. And he kind of became the whole model for the entire industry, really.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I didn't know that there was a documentary. I think I know of the book you're talking about. Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
It's like a big red book. It's got like a plastic kind of dust cover over it. And there's like a hole where the DVD is in the book.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check that out.
I picked up in college, yeah.
Akira is something I feel like now that you're talking about, I feel like I should just get all the books and then just do one reading instead
you can read it pretty quick. Like you can just blow through it. Like when you get, especially when you get in those action scenes, they just like fly by. They're like kind of storyboards for the anime, really.
Yeah. Not to get too far off subject since we're here to talk about your stuff, but you mentioned Raphael Grandpa. Did you read that new Batman book?
No, yeah, I haven't read it, but I looked at the pages, and yeah, it looks great. He's fantastic whenever he comes out with something new. But his stuff's like, you look at it, it's got to be super labor intensive.
Oh,
you know how many issues that thing's gonna be?
I think it's 4 or 3. It's either 3 or 4. It's definitely not longer, but I know it's also not monthly. I think it's every other month that it comes out.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna probably pick up the trade. I think I'm like a trade waiter now because like the stuff that's like really worth picking up.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Sometimes I double dip. I don't have the patience to wait sometimes, so I'll get the singles, and then when the collection comes out, I'll either get rid of the singles and just sell it off as a set, or
I'll look at the pages, but like I'm like, I'll wait till the trade. Like I did that with the Tradmore Doctor Strange. That was probably the last like modern book that I bought.
I haven't read that one yet. Is it good?
The art's fantastic. He wrote it himself. You can tell it's like a super personal story. Like if you look at Doctor Strange, and like I saw an interview with Tradmore, and he's basically turned Doctor Strange into a portrait of himself. So it's sort of like kind of all the stuff's happening is very personal to him, but it's like I don't have the context to
no, I definitely gotta check that out.
Life, dude. Yeah, it's a great art book though. I recommend it for the art for sure.
For sure.
By Tradmore.
Well, let's get back to you. So what was I mean, obviously like you were a part of a Kickstarter with Matt, but he was running it. So is this the first?
It's my first solo one that I'm doing myself.
Right.
So it's a lot of bit of a learning curve on everything. Like I said, we're funded. I think we're 172 backers with 13 days to go. We're 11,000 some change, a little under 11,500. Definitely going to happen. I'm going to get the money for it and should be able to print it out and get it out to everybody with that. But the more money we get, the better the product we can produce. And just this last home stretch where we're just pushing to get as much money to make a nice little trade paperback. It's going to be like a manga size 5.25 by 7.5.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be a little bigger than mini comics, and hopefully everything comes together and we get it put together by the end of the year. I'm hoping.
Are you adding any new art, or are you literally just collecting what you've done before? Is there anything to kind of bridge?
This new volume that I'm printing, there's about 12 extra pages. I've reworked some of the backgrounds. Like I finished it back in May, and I kind of got wrapped up in some other stuff. And as I was working on all of that, I was adding to it and fine-tuning certain things. I got to the point where I was really happy with it, and basically you need to make some adjustments for the final dimensions of the book, and it's basically after that ready to go, and maybe some like I'm waiting to hear back from some people who've like proofread. I got chased some people down. I sent a proofread a couple months ago. They still haven't gotten back to me.
For
But
sure.
other than that, well, I was proofreading as I went to, like everybody sending it to people like, yeah, can you spelling errors?
You said it's manga size. Are you printing it on that same type of paper?
It depends what we can get. I think like newsprint is actually more expensive in some cases. Might be with the place I'm going to, but it's feasible. Like my stuff, I kind of do these paper effects and like work with the color opacity. So it has kind of this like print on newsprint, and like I'll offset some colors sometimes and do little gimmicks to make it look kind of old and like it was printed. Like people call my stuff, say my stuff looks like screen prints almost, a lot of the art. So yeah, it'd be cool to get it on like kind of a toothier, uncoated type of paper would be ideal, I think, for my work if I
Yeah.
can. But yeah.
Yeah, that'd be dope. Yeah, I was gonna mention, dude, I love the way you color a book because it definitely stands out. It's not like most of the books you see colored on the stands, which feels super like had that digital feel to it.
Yeah,
They
I
have
hate.
that
Well,
sheen to everything.
everybody's working on tablets now. I can't stand that stuff. Like people, I've tried like playing around with it, and just the actual feeling of making the mark just doesn't feel right. It was sort of, there's like a Frank Quietly documentary where he talks about how he'll plan everything out blue line in the computer, but then he has to print it out to ink it, because it's like you get that, it's like when you put your finger up against a mirror and you try and touch your own finger, you never quite touch it. And that's like a great way to explain it, because it's just there's that divide of the machine with the glass in your pen that it's just like a uncomfortable divide for me. It just doesn't feel right, because you
That's
get the immersion of like you're actually like carving into, like I said, like you get that sharp point I like to work with, where you're actually like carving it in, sculpting the image on like the two-dimensional plane. You're making all the little lines to like build the shape up, and you get the feeling of like the mass of the whole thing. And that's important sort of for my art at least. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like everything kind of looks the same. It's all this like really glossy, almost soulless type thing, where it's just all the lines look alike too, and everyone just kind of blends together, and there's no like personality out there. That's you can't say that about my stuff. Definitely has personality.
Yeah, no, it definitely has personality. I think that's like, I mean, there are colorists I like and that do stand out, but it's
Well, there's
not
like
it's not a
colors, and
common thing.
there's like people like pencilers and who like pencil and ink everything on their tablet, and I just
Yeah.
I don't care for that too much.
Yeah, no, I'm all about traditional stuff. So the Kickstarter, like you said, is backed fully. How did you decide like kind of what tiers to do, and what are you learning that you're going to take over to the next one? Is there anything that you did on this Kickstarter that maybe you're going to switch up for the next one?
I try to keep this one as simple as possible and not like overwhelm myself. I'm mostly just focusing on trying to get a quality book out to people is my main goal. So I didn't want to like promise the moon with like t-shirts and posters and stuff. I don't have much experience printing before. So I'm keeping it to like original art. Basically, you can get commissions, you get panels from the book. I got, I had covers up there. They're all sold out now, but we had like the original covers people could buy.
Okay.
And zines. I'm reprinting a bunch of old zines. You can get basically every zine I put out, because those are easy to make, and I have experience. That's not much of a issue going to the store or print shop and printing those out. So just keeping it simple and like as small a package as possible. We're doing a manga size. Tales to Enlighten is a giant brick of a book, and like you can ask Matt the problem was the shipping that. Like people complain because I'm up here in Canada, and like people can't get copies of it without spending like 150 after all the duties and shipping, and this is like technically international shipping. Like I'm probably going to have to hire somebody to drive all these books over the border and mail them out to all my US backers on the US side, just so I can save 10-15 bucks a package. No.
Yeah, shipping's crazy.
Yeah, as far as like stuff I'm learning, like I knew just kind of pace myself, and like I'm still trying to put this book together, the final print copy, and that'll be sort of a learning experience, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, like so far so good, I think.
And what? So I know you said you're thinking about the spring for the next Kickstarter. Are you going to add anything different now that you've kind of got the feel for it? Or is it going to be kind of similar to the way this Kickstarter is? You're going to have the commission tiers, stuff like that. Are you going to do any type of extra stuff for the next one?
Maybe the same. If I can think of like a good extra thing that I think will actually make some money, I'll probably add it. But more or less the same. Yeah, I'm going wait. I'm going to wait till this campaign's obviously fulfilled, and then you don't want to do like a campaign during the holidays or during tax season. So you want to wait till like everyone gets their tax return, like May or something. So I'll probably shoot to around that time.
Very
I think
cool.
be a good time. And then I don't know. Everyone told me to launch on like a Tuesday, but I already like had set the date of the 7th, which was a Thursday. So apparently Tuesday is the best day for launching your campaign because everyone's like bored at work. Like no one checks out Kickstarter on like a Saturday. Like weekends are dead, so you don't want to launch on Friday. That's little things like that I learned the hard way. I'll do those differently, but other than that, just not too much different that I would do differently, I don't think.
So is there anything else you're working on besides wrapping up this book and planning the next crowdfunder that you can talk about?
I might be doing something with Fearless Fred Kennedy, who's kind of a radio personality up here in Toronto. He has a book out on the stands right now called Dead Romans. Okay. It's sort of a historical piece about like the Roman. It's it just wrapped up right now. You can probably pick up all the back issues. Might be doing something with him. I don't want to get too much into the details, but we just kind of like trading emails back and forth, and that might be a gig though. Carry me through the winter, looks like, to the next campaign. Other than that, I'm just kind of like the work's all done. The work on this book's done. The work on the next book's done. So I'm just kind of doing a lot of commissions right now. And
do you have? I mean, since the stuff that you're doing on crowdfunding is basically done, do you have any ideas for any other projects for yourself to work on?
Well, Evil starts it's really like Evil's really like volume 1 of Evil, and then it ends on a cliffhanger. So I do need to finish the second volume at some point. That'll be my next big 160-page type project. And then after that, I don't know. I got at least one more in me that I have to do.
Yeah. Awesome. Everybody listening, watching, make sure you go hit up the Kickstarter, back it. I mean, it is funded, so you know it's going to happen. Definitely pick up one of those commission tiers, the zine tiers, a bunch of cool tiers that you have for art and old stuff. Before I let you go, though, I'm kind of curious, like, what current stuff are you reading?
Like I said, I did read Trad Moore's Doctor Strange that just came out. I am interested in picking out that new Raphael Grandpa book. What else is new? Like I'll pick up the trades, like anything Daniel Warren Johnson puts out is good. Anything by Sean Gordon Murphy is worthwhile usually for the art at least. And then I'm mostly just drawn to art, like a bunch of European books I'm reading. Like I said, Milo Manera, Jacqueline Tardet. If I can track down any old Mobius or whoever, stuff like that.
Right on. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, thanks, dude. I appreciate you taking time to chat with me. I'm a huge fan. Can't wait for the book to come out, and we'll definitely do this again. In the future, dude.
Pissant Apocalypse on Kickstarter, everybody.
Yeah. All the links will be down below, so very easy for you guys. Just drop down links to James so you can follow him on social media as well. And we'll talk soon, dude.
Thank you very much. Take care, guys.